She pulled oxygen and faked his monitor. Panic, or was that planned? Why did the dad know?
She yanked the oxygen line out of my nose, and before I could breathe, she pushed it into her son's hands. "He gets it," she said. Like I wasn't even there. I was lying in an ICU bed, monitors screaming, my lungs barely working after days of barely holding on, nurses, machines, everything around me frozen for a second too long. I reached for the tube, choking, my chest locking up, but she slapped my hand away like I was a problem to manage, not a patient fighting to breathe. My dad stood in the corner and didn't move. Didn't say anything, just nodded. The alarms got louder, my vision started closing in, and somehow no one stopped her. Then the door slammed open. A respiratory tech rushed in, took one look at the monitor, then at me, then at the empty line in my face. Who authorized this? Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. Jordan, the respiratory tech, didn't wait for an answer. He crossed the room in 2 long steps, grabbed a fresh line from the wall, and snapped it into place with the kind of speed that told me he already knew this wasn't some mix-up. Cool oxygen rushed into my nose again, but my lungs still fought it, stuttering like they'd forgotten what to do. My whole chest burned. I could hear every alarm separately now, one sharp, one flat, one pulsing too fast, and over all of it, my stepmom's voice kept cutting through. "My son is turning blue," Carla said, pulling Liam closer to her side. "Are you people seriously going to let him sit there like that?" He wasn't turning blue. That was the first clear thought I had through the panic. Liam looked scared, sure. His breathing was fast and his eyes were wide, but he was standing. Standing. In the ICU room. No monitor clipped to his finger, no nurse working over him, no doctor calling for meds. He just stood there clutching the tubing she'd shoved at him, looking more confused than sick. Jordan looked at him once, then back at the monitor above my bed. The numbers were still climbing from where they'd dropped, not fast enough. His jaw tightened. "Take that off him," he said to the nurse. The nurse hesitated again. Not because she didn't understand him, because Carla had the room twisted around her. That was what she did. She walked into a space and acted like certainty was the same thing as authority. She had that tone adults use when they've already decided everyone else is incompetent. I'd watched it for 2 years at dinner tables, in school offices, in parking lots, after family events, but never like this. Never while I was flat on my back, unable to get enough air to shout over her. "She said he needed it," the nurse murmured, like she was explaining herself before anyone had even accused her. Jordan didn't raise his voice, somehow that made it worse. "He is not the patient in this room." Carla's head snapped toward him. "Excuse me?" I turned my eyes toward my dad again because I still couldn't fully lift my head. Mark was near the sink, one hand braced on the counter like he needed something solid to hold on to. He looked pale. Smaller than I'd ever seen him, but not shocked. Not the way someone looks when they've just watched something unthinkable happen. He looked like a man who had told himself, one more time, that staying quiet was the same as staying out of it. And that hit me almost as hard as losing the oxygen. Because this wasn't Carla's first moment. It was just the first one where I couldn't pretend it was normal. When my dad married her, people kept telling me it would take time. Blended families are messy. She's protective of Liam. "You're older, Cindy. Be patient." That word patient felt almost funny now. Except nothing about this was funny. Carla had a way of making every room orbit around her son. If Liam had a cough, dinner was canceled. If he looked tired, the TV had to go off. If I needed something at the same time, hers was always the urgent problem, and mine was the one that could wait. Most of the time, it was small enough that arguing made me look dramatic. A birthday dinner moved because Liam wasn't feeling up to a crowded place. A weekend visit with my grandparents cut short because Carla said he needed rest. My dad would do that same little nod, the one I just watched from the hospital bed, and act like compromise was maturity, even when the compromise somehow always came out of me. But 5 days earlier, when I got admitted with pneumonia bad enough that one of my lungs had partially collapsed, I thought even Carla would understand there was a line. That a hospital room, especially an ICU room, would be the one place where facts mattered more than whoever talked the loudest. I was wrong. The nurse carefully removed the tubing from Liam's hands. Carla moved in front of him so fast it was almost a reflex. "Don't touch him," she snapped. Jordan finally looked directly at her. "Ma'am, step back." No one in that room had spoken to her like that before. You could see it register. Not just anger offense, the kind that comes from someone used to people folding before they ever have to. "He has asthma," she said, stabbing a finger toward Liam like that settled everything. He came in here and saw his sister gasping and started struggling too, but nobody cares because she's the one in the bed. Sister. The word sounded wrong in her mouth. She only used it when she wanted to make us sound like a real family in front of other people. Jordan glanced at Liam again, faster this time, clinical. Is he a patient here? No, the nurse said quietly. That one word changed the air in the room. Carla heard it too. Her face didn't fall. It sharpened. She switched tactics so smoothly it scared me even then. So, now you're saying children who can't breathe don't matter unless they've signed paperwork? She demanded. This is unbelievable. I tried to speak. I wanted to say she was lying, that Liam had walked in fine, that she had pulled the line out herself, but all that came out was a raw, broken sound. Jordan was at my side immediately, adjusting the flow, checking the connection, telling me, easy, slow breaths. You're getting it back. The nurse moved to my other side, finally doing what she should have done the second Carla touched anything. Her hands shook as she checked the monitor lead on my finger. She didn't look at me. That hurt too, maybe because I could tell she knew. Outside the room, footsteps rushed past. Carts rolled. Voices bounced down the hall. The ICU kept moving while my whole world had narrowed to one bed, one stolen breath, one woman standing there acting like she had the right to decide who mattered more. Liam tugged on Carla's sleeve. Mom, he whispered. He sounded nervous. Not desperate, not sick. Just scared because adults were suddenly no longer treating his mother like she was in charge. She pulled him tighter without looking down at him. It's okay, she said, but she wasn't talking to him. She was talking to the room, reclaiming it. Then she looked at my dad again. That was the part I don't think I'll ever forget. Not the glance itself, but what was inside it. A warning, a demand, a reminder that she expected him to back her, same as always. And he almost did. His mouth opened. Jordan was still working over me. The nurse had finally stepped aside. The alarms were quieter now, but only because the oxygen was flowing again. My pulse was still racing hard enough that I could feel it in my teeth. Mark, Carla said, calm now, deadly calm. Tell them what happened. My father swallowed. His eyes flicked to me for half a second, then away. And just before he answered, another set of footsteps stopped outside the door. A shadow crossed the glass. Then a doctor walked in and said, "Why is there an incident response call in this room? What happened in here?" The doctor didn't raise his voice, but everything shifted the second he stepped in. White coat, badge clipped at his chest, eyes already scanning the monitors before anyone answered. He moved straight to my bed. Not Carla, not Liam, me. That alone felt like someone correcting the room. My son couldn't breathe, Carla said immediately, stepping forward like she'd been waiting for this exact moment, and no one was helping him. The doctor didn't even look at her yet. Vitals? He asked the nurse. She swallowed. Dropped to 82, back up to 91 now, and rising. Cause? The hesitation came back, but shorter this time. Oxygen was removed briefly. Now he looked at Carla. Removed? He repeated. Slower. Not confused. Confirming. Carla didn't flinch. Reallocated, she corrected. There was another child in distress. I could feel my fingers finally starting to respond again. Weak, but mine. The fog in my head was thinning just enough for everything to hit harder. Every word she said felt like it was pushing me further out of my own body, like I was the extra person in the room instead of the one who'd almost stopped breathing. The doctor glanced at Liam. One quick, practiced look, chest movement, color, posture, no panic, no urgency. Then back to me. Is he admitted? He asked. No, the nurse said again, quieter this time. Carla's voice sharpened. So we're just ignoring symptoms now? We're prioritizing patients, the doctor replied, finally giving her his full attention. This patient, a slight gesture toward me, is on monitored oxygen support. That is not interchangeable. There was something final in the way he said it. Not loud, not emotional, just fact. Carla's control slipped for half a second. I saw it in the tightness around her mouth before she recovered. You weren't in here, she said. You didn't see him struggling. I'm seeing him now, the doctor said. Jordan stepped in beside him. I found the line disconnected when I entered. Disconnected. He didn't say mistaken. He didn't say confused. Disconnected. My dad shifted against the counter. I could hear it, the faint scrape of his shoe on the tile. He was being pulled into this, whether he wanted to be or not. And for once, staying quiet wasn't going to keep things from escalating. Mark, Carla said again, softer now but heavier. Tell them. He looked at her. Then, at me. I held his gaze this time. Even with everything still spinning, even with the oxygen barely stabilizing me, I didn't look away. Because I needed to see what he would do when it wasn't a dinner plan or a weekend visit when it was this. His throat moved. He started, then stopped. The doctor didn't interrupt. He just watched. Carla stepped closer to my dad, just enough that it looked supportive from the outside. You saw him, she said. You saw Liam couldn't breathe. That was the version she was offering him, the easier one, the one where he didn't have to admit anything ugly. My dad nodded. It was small, barely there. But it was enough. Something cold settled in my chest, deeper than the pneumonia, deeper than the panic from a few minutes ago, because that nod wasn't confusion, it was a choice. Jordan exhaled slowly, like he'd expected it, but still didn't like hearing it. The doctor's expression didn't change at all. All right, he said, calm and precise, let's clarify something. He turned slightly toward the nurse. Was there any medical order to remove oxygen from this patient? No, she said immediately this time. Any instruction from staff to transfer it? No. The doctor nodded once, like he was checking boxes only he could see. Then he looked back at Carla. So just to be clear, he said, each word deliberate. The oxygen was removed without medical authorization. Carla opened her mouth. But before she could answer, another alarm sounded. Not mine. Everyone turned. It was coming from the portable monitor the nurse had just clipped, almost as an afterthought to Liam's finger. The numbers flickered. Carla's eyes lit up. There, she said quickly. You see that? He's not okay. For a split second, the room hesitated again. And this time, even the doctor looked at the screen. The number dropped. Then dropped again. Jordan leaned in closer. And his expression changed. Wait, he said quietly. Why isn't this reading matching his breathing? Jordan's voice cut through the room, low but sharp enough to stop everything mid-motion. All eyes snapped back to Liam. The monitor clipped to his finger showed his oxygen saturation dipping 86, 84. But Liam wasn't gasping. He wasn't clutching his chest. He wasn't struggling for air the way I had been just seconds ago. He was just standing there, breathing fast, yes, but steady, controlled, not collapsing. Jordan crouched slightly, bringing himself level with Liam. Hey, he said, calmer now. Can you take a slow breath for me? Liam nodded and inhaled. A full, clean breath. The monitor dropped again. That didn't make sense. The doctor stepped closer, eyes narrowing at the screen, then shifting to Liam's face, then back again. That clinical rhythm, observe, compare, question. Switch fingers, he said. The nurse quickly unclipped the sensor and moved it to another finger. The numbers flickered, recalibrating. Then dropped again. Carla crossed her arms, seizing the moment. So now what? She said. Are we still pretending nothing's wrong with him? But her voice carried something new under it, not just urgency. Defensiveness. Jordan didn't respond to her. He reached for Liam's hand gently, turning it slightly under the light, his eyes focused on something small, something specific. Hold on, he muttered. The doctor leaned in. What is it? Jordan didn't answer right away. He adjusted Liam's finger again, then pressed lightly near the tip. The skin blanched under the pressure. The monitor dipped. He released it. The number bounced back up slightly, then dipped again. Jordan's jaw tightened. Capillary restriction, he said quietly. That's not respiratory. The doctor straightened a fraction. You're sure? Jordan nodded, now more certain. Something's interfering with circulation to the finger. That reading's not reliable. The room shifted again, but this time, not in Carla's favor. The doctor turned fully toward her. Has he been complaining of numbness? Pain in his hand? No, Carla said quickly. Too quickly. Jordan was already moving. He gently rotated Liam's wrist, and that's when he saw it. A thin elastic band, flesh-colored, tight enough that it blended into the skin if you weren't looking directly at it. Pulled just enough to restrict blood flow. Where did this come from? Jordan asked, his tone no longer neutral. Liam looked down at his wrist like he hadn't even realized it was there. He hesitated, glancing up at his mom. Carla stepped forward immediately. That's nothing. Kids play with stuff like that all the time. But no one was looking at her anymore. The doctor carefully removed the band. The moment it loosened, color rushed back into Liam's fingers. The monitor climbed. 90, 94, 98. Stable. Normal. No oxygen needed. No emergency. Just silence. Heavy, undeniable silence. The nurse exhaled like she'd been holding her breath this entire time. Jordan stood up slowly, eyes still on the monitor, then shifting to Carla. That drop wasn't real, he said. It was induced. That word landed harder than anything else so far. Induced. Carla's expression didn't break, but it changed. Subtly. The confidence wasn't gone, but it was thinner now. Stretched. "You're accusing me of something?" she asked. The doctor didn't answer immediately. He looked at Liam instead. "Did you put that on yourself?" he asked, calm but direct. Liam froze. 12 years old, caught between truth and loyalty. His eyes flicked to his mom again. Carla didn't say anything this time. She didn't need to. And that was the problem. Liam started, then stopped. My chest tightened again, but not from lack of oxygen this time. From understanding. This wasn't panic. This wasn't a mistake. This had been set up. The doctor straightened, his entire posture shifting into something more formal, more procedural. "We're going to need to document everything that just happened." Carla let out a short, disbelieving laugh. "This is ridiculous." "No," the doctor said evenly. "What's ridiculous is a non-patient presenting false distress in a critical care room." Jordan added quietly, "While an actual patient's oxygen support was removed." The words hung there. Clear. Undeniable. My dad finally pushed off the counter. "Okay, hold on," he said, stepping forward like he could still fix this, like he could still smooth it over. "This is getting blown out of proportion." "No," the doctor cut in, sharper now. "It isn't." And for the first time, my dad didn't have a response ready. Because this wasn't a family disagreement anymore. This was something else entirely. The nurse moved toward the door, already reaching for the phone. Carla noticed. And something in her snapped, not loudly, not dramatically, but decisively. "Don't," she said. The nurse froze. Carla stepped closer, her voice dropping just enough to feel dangerous. "You don't need to escalate this. It was a misunderstanding." But the monitor behind me let out another sharp beep, steady now, stable. Proof that I had been the one in danger. Not Liam. Not even close. The nurse looked at the doctor. The doctor gave a single nod. Her hand tightened around the phone. "You really want to make this official?" Carla's voice didn't rise. It dropped quiet, controlled, the kind of tone that expected people to second-guess themselves. For a second, the nurse hesitated. Then she finished dialing. "Yes," she said, not to Carla but into the phone. "We need administration and security in ICU room 3, now." That was the moment everything tipped. Carla didn't argue. She didn't shout. She just went still, her eyes flicking around the room, recalculating. The confidence she walked in with hadn't disappeared, it had changed shape. Sharper now, more contained. Like she was already planning her next move. The doctor stepped slightly in front of my bed, not aggressively, but enough to make the boundary clear. "Ma'am, I'm going to need you to step away from the patient." "I am not the problem here," Carla replied, her gaze steady. "You're overreacting to a mother trying to protect her child." Jordan crossed his arms, watching her carefully. "By restricting circulation to fake a reading?" he asked. "I didn't fake anything," she said instantly. He was scared. His breathing changed. "I acted." "You acted by removing oxygen from someone who needed it," the doctor said. "No emotion, just fact." My head turned slightly toward Carla. The room felt clearer now, the oxygen finally doing what it was supposed to. My chest still hurt, every breath heavy, but I could think. I could see. And I could see her, not panicked, not guilty. Just annoyed she was being challenged. "You're exaggerating," she said. Dismissive now. She wasn't dying. The word hit harder than anything else. Not Cindy, not even your stepdaughter. Just, Something in me snapped into place. Not anger, not even fear anymore, just clarity. My voice came out rough, barely above a whisper. "You took it." Every head turned toward me. Carla didn't. She kept her eyes on the doctor. "She was stable," she said. "Ask anyone." "I am asking," the doctor replied, "and the monitors say otherwise." My dad stepped forward again, more urgently this time. "Okay, this isn't helping anyone," he said. "Let's just calm down and figure this out." "No," Jordan cut in. It's already figured out. Mark looked at him, frustrated now. You don't understand. I understand exactly what I walked into, Jordan said. A patient desaturating because her oxygen line was pulled. That's not confusion. That word again. Pulled. Not misplaced. Not misunderstood. Intentional. My dad's face tightened. He looked at Carla again, searching for something, guidance maybe, or reassurance that this could still be contained. She gave him nothing. For the first time, she wasn't trying to steer him. She was letting him stand there alone. Footsteps approached fast from the hallway. More than one person. The nurse stepped back from the door as it opened again, this time slower, controlled. 2 hospital administrators entered first, followed by a security officer. The atmosphere changed instantly. No more debate, no more interpretation. Process. What's going on? One of the administrators asked, scanning the room. The doctor didn't hesitate. We have a non-patient interfering with life support equipment and presenting false symptoms in another individual. That phrasing was deliberate, precise, official. Carla let out a short breath through her nose, almost amused. That's quite a story. It's documented, the doctor replied. Jordan gestured toward the monitor and witnessed. The administrator turned to Carla. Ma'am, we're going to need you to step outside while we sort this out. Carla didn't move. For a moment, no one did. Then Liam tugged at her sleeve again, harder this time. Mom, he whispered, his voice shaky now. Can we just go? That crack, small but real, shifted everything. Carla looked down at him, and for the first time since this started, something slipped. Not guilt. Not regret. Control? Because this wasn't just about her anymore. Now there were witnesses, documentation, a room full of people who hadn't folded. She straightened slowly, smoothing her expression back into place. Fine, she said, if that's how you want to handle it. The security officer stepped closer, not touching her, but close enough to make the expectation clear. Carla turned toward the door, guiding Liam with her. But just before she stepped out, she stopped and looked back at my dad, not at me, at him, like this was still something he could fix. Like he still had a role to play. He didn't move, didn't speak, didn't nod this time. Carla held his gaze for 1 second longer, then walked out. The door shut behind her. The room exhaled, but it wasn't over. Not even close. Because the administrator turned back to the doctor and said, we're going to need full statements from everyone involved. And then he looked at my dad. Sir, did you witness the oxygen being removed? The question didn't sound aggressive. It didn't need to. It landed with a kind of weight that made the entire room feel still again. My dad didn't answer right away. For the first time since this started, no one rushed in to fill the silence. Not Carla, she was gone, not the nurse, not even the doctor. They just watched him. Waited. Because this part mattered. He looked at the floor first, then at the monitor beside my bed, like the numbers might give him something to hold on to. Finally, slowly, he looked at me. And I didn't look away. My chest rose and fell more steadily now. The oxygen finally doing its job. The alarms had softened into background noise. Everything that had been chaos just minutes ago was controlled again. Except this. This was the part no machine could stabilize. He started, his voice rough. I saw her take the line. No one moved. The administrator nodded once. And did you intervene? My dad swallowed. His eyes flicked toward the door Carla had just walked through, like some part of him was still waiting for her to come back and answer for him. No, he said. That word settled into the room heavier than anything else. Because it confirmed everything. The doctor exhaled slowly, not surprised, but not unaffected either. The nurse looked down, her hands clasped tightly in front of her. Jordan just nodded once, like a final piece had clicked into place. The administrator spoke again, tone unchanged. Thank you. We'll need a full written statement. That was it. No lecture. No raised voices. Just process. But the shift was irreversible. Logical payoff. Within the hour, everything was documented. Every monitor reading. Every timestamp. The exact moment my oxygen levels dropped. The exact moment the line was disconnected. The moment it was reattached. There was no ambiguity. The log showed I had been stable, fragile, but stable until the oxygen was manually removed. There was no medical order, no instruction, no justification. And Liam? He was evaluated separately. Vitals normal, breathing normal, no signs of respiratory distress. The elastic band was logged too, photographed, noted as the cause of the false oxygen reading. Induced desaturation, one of the staff called it, a phrase that sounded clinical, but meant something very simple. It wasn't real. Emotional payoff. Later, when the room had cleared out and it was just me and my dad, the silence came back, but it felt different now. He stood near the window this time, not the corner. Like moving a few feet somehow changed what had happened. I didn't think, he started. You did, I said. My voice was stronger now, still rough, but steady. He stopped. I didn't think it would get that bad. He tried again. I watched him for a second. Really watched him. You watched it happen, I said. You saw her take it. He didn't deny it. Didn't argue. Didn't even try to explain it away this time. Because there wasn't a version of this where he came out of it looking like he didn't know better. I was trying to keep things from escalating, he said finally. I let that sit for a second. Then I couldn't breathe. That was it. No yelling, no breakdown, just the truth, exactly as it was. And for the first time, he didn't have anything to say back. Consequence payoff. By the next day, the hospital had taken formal action. Carla was banned from the ICU immediately and within 48 hours from the entire hospital facility pending investigation. An incident report was filed, not just internally, but flagged for legal review under patient endangerment and interference with medical treatment. The nurse wasn't fired, but she was placed under review. The report acknowledged she had been pressured, misled, and hesitated under conflicting authority. It didn't excuse it, but it explained it. Jordan and the doctor both submitted statements. Clear, direct, consistent. And my dad? His statement matched what he'd said in the room. He saw it. He didn't stop it. That became part of the record. Outside the hospital, things unraveled faster. Family members started calling, not because of rumors, but because the hospital contacted emergency contacts for clarification and follow-up. The story didn't stay contained. It couldn't. Carla's version, whatever she tried to tell people, didn't hold up against documented evidence. There were timestamps, witnesses, reports. And for the first time, the narrative around her shifted. Not protective, not overreacting. Dangerous. Social and relational fallout. I didn't see her again. Not in the hospital. Not after I was discharged. And I made that clear. When my dad asked carefully, like he already knew the answer if I wanted to talk to her, I didn't hesitate. No. He nodded. But this time, it wasn't the same nod. It wasn't agreement. It was acknowledgement of a line that had finally been drawn and couldn't be undone. Our relationship didn't snap all at once. It didn't need to. It just changed shape. Quieter. More distant. Like something fundamental had been removed and nothing had replaced it. Final resolution moment. A week later, I was still in the hospital, but no longer in the ICU. Regular room, fewer machines, fewer alarms. The oxygen line was still there, but it wasn't constant anymore, just support when I needed it. A nurse came in during the morning check. The same one? She paused for a second when she saw me awake. Hey, she said, softer than before. How are you feeling? Better, I said. It was true. Not just physically. She nodded, adjusting something on the monitor. I'm glad. There was more she wanted to say. I could see it, the apology sitting right there. But she didn't push it. And neither did I. After she left, I reached up slowly and touched the oxygen line. For a second, I just held it there. Then, carefully, I took it off. Not because it was taken from me. Because I didn't need it anymore. I sat there for a moment, breathing on my own. Slow, controlled, real. No alarms, no interruptions. No one deciding for me.
So, was it fear, control, or something worse? Tell me what you think really happened.